What's up, creeps? Welcome to a brand new Epic Film Guys mini-sode review. I am your host, Justin, and I am joined once again by the god of podcasting himself, none other than...
Brian Loy.
Oh my god. A little more emphasis on the sauce, man. The sauce is motherfucking boss. It's been a while since you've been on the show, a couple months, I think. I can't even remember the last time you were on Epic Film Guys, but welcome back. Glad to have you. We're here to be talking about one of my favorite subjects, a subject that our listeners have heard me spout off at the mouth about hundreds of times. And that would be Tim Burton's Batman movies, because they just had a special Dolby Theater re-release this week on the 25th of August in select Dolby cinemas at select AMC theaters, which was a huge deal for a lot of fans. Unfortunately, the rollout was not as big as it could have been. We'll talk about that. But in terms of the fan reaction and the hype for it, it was actually quite large. Most of our listeners know that I also run the Burton Batcave, which is the premier Tim Burton, Michael Keaton Batman Instagram page. And I've seen so many reactions from fans. So I figured we went and saw them. Why the hell not sit down and do a quick discussion regarding them? And also, and just going to toot my own horn because I don't give a shit, I think arguably I've probably seen, and you could speak to this, I think I've seen at least Burton's first Batman movie in theaters maybe more times than anyone alive on the earth right now.
It's quite possible. I mean, I can't even tell you the amount of times that we've gone to see Batman and Batman Returns, or just Batman together, let alone like collectively, like in our lives, like having watched it individually. Like, I'm sure it's an obscene amount of times we've seen Batman and Batman Returns. But so when you approached me and were like, do you want to go to this? I was like, really? There's like part of me that was like, really? You want to go see them again?
Yes.
But
the answer is always yes.
It was an intriguing prospect to see the films in a new format, so to speak. We've gone to the local AMC. Well, it's not really local anymore, but the AMC that is closest to where we used to go in Washington, D.C. Area. We've been to that theater a couple times, and the presentation has always been pretty impressive. So the prospect of seeing Burton's Batman films in that theater was intriguing.
They're Dolby Cinema. I've been there for, so many new movies. I don't think I've ever seen an old movie on the format there. So it was really exciting. And also, I wanted to do it even more than just for me seeing it for myself again for the 1 billionth time. I really wanted to do it so I could report back to the fans and let them know. Because there have been many discussions since Warner Brothers released these movies in 4K Ultra HD in 2019. Taking a trip back in the past when that happened, you and I, remember when they did the Fathom events, we went and saw the first movie then. And that was before they released the discs. And we were really appalled at the fact that they had created a brand new Dolby Atmos mix for the film that was revisionist, to say the worst, the least, if you will, copying and pasting new sound effects over the old ones, burying the old sound effects, gunshots, machine guns, the Batwing, the Batmobile have been altered. I even, just as reference, went in and watched the movie with the old sound mix yesterday just to realize the difference even more. And I've realized that difference for the past 6 years. But so that was a really upsetting thing. We had a petition, Batman Online, my friend Paul that used to run that website and page. We were upset over it, but then when the discs came out, we were even more upset because Warner Brothers did not include the original sound mix as an option. They had two mixes. One was Dolby, one was another, and they both had the new sound effects. And I remember because
just slap it on the disc.
Yeah,
come on.
It makes no sense why they couldn't. And I had conversations, actual discussions with Warner Brothers, and they were very kind. They were very nice. They took my calls. I still have the voicemail saved, and their response was, we looked into it, and we feel this is the way we want the film presented to a modern audience. And that was what I got, so I gave up at that point. Returns did have some updates to the sound, but it wasn't egregious. It wasn't terrible. It was just little things here and there to enhance, so that didn't bother me as much. But a lot of fans, the discourse, LoySauce, started with people complaining about in air quotes here, a teal color timing. Mm-hmm. And so I'm happy to report that Batman and Batman Returns in Dolby Vision, as of right now, look the best they have since 1989 and 1992. I don't know about you, but I've seen these movies so many times on 35 millimeter, so I have a direct reference point. I've seen them on digital. We've screened them ourselves at Alamo a bunch of times over the last couple of years. Returns for its anniversary, 89 for its anniversary a few years back as well. And it's safe to say, I think, I don't know if you agree, this is the best. These are the best versions of these movies for theatrical presentation.
Well, I had certainly never seen the films on that large a screen. And the thing about Dolby is that the colors are richer, the blacks are deeper. Like it really has kind of, that color and the presentation and the sharpness of the image. I've never seen the films in that kind of clarity before. So it's really tough for me, especially to not have a direct side-by-side comparison, but just, based on having seen the film so many times over the years and based on my eyes, my failing, they're starting to go.
You live in a movie theater, man. You're there all the time. I would dare say, I would consider us, hey, whatever. We're not armchair experts, but we fucking see this shit at least a couple times a week.
Well, we're both sticklers for presentation. I feel like we always want the best possible quality, the best, resolution. And this was definitely a really impressive showcase for, just how incredible these films look and sound.
Absolutely. As much as I dislike the revisionist sound mix, because I will say and confirm, the mix that they utilized for this presentation is the same as the Atmos mix released in 2019 with all the new sound effects. And
you were hoping against hope that, they would include they would remaster
a new Atmos mix. And right. But I understand the reasoning why they decided not to. They already had this available. And after watching it in, on the big screen, this new version a handful of times over the last couple years or so, I've kind of just accepted it. I'll never be in love with it. I'll never be totally satisfied. I'll always hate the new effects. It's just not the way the movie should sound. I think those old tacky catalog sound effects, gunshots, explosions make the movie have the charm that it does. It actually adds to that comic booky vibe of the film and the visuals. They're married together to me. And I hate when they change things, obviously. I wouldn't say George Lucas did, but they kind of did. All right. They didn't touch anything in terms of, they didn't fix any effects or anything in the movie. They didn't erase any lines.
Certainly not.
But, and we'll talk about a little bit of that, but so that's still a thing. And I think fans just kind of have to go with that. But I'm hoping and I'm praying that out of these discussions, the screening, the fans really coming out of this satisfied. I've seen not a single negative reaction from people going to see these. All the reactions I've seen have been amazingly positive, but I think that's just one part of it. Fans will have to accept is that's what you're going to get. But part of that is hoping that we get new discs released and maybe possibly Warner Brothers will smarten up and go, it takes no fucking space on a disc to include an extra sound track. Like we can add that mix on there as an option for the person that wants to watch it. And luckily, if you want to watch the movie in Dolby Vision right now, when you have a 4K TV with Dolby Vision and you own the movie on digital, or you own the Blu-ray and you redeem it on digital, you can watch the movie in 4K Ultra HD in Dolby Vision with the original sound mix on the Movies Anywhere app. That's where I've been watching it for years. That's where I tested it recently. Just as a hack there for fans so they know, oh, I can actually do that. Some people enjoy the new mix. Absolutely fine. That's your preference. A couple of other things I think they should have done. Now, they did a really big promotion, I guess you could call it, with Tim Burton himself, because they wanted to bring him in, LoySauce. They wanted to get his endorsement, even if he had absolutely fucking nothing to do with these restorations or the sound mixes at all. They got his endorsement. We've posted the videos. You've seen them. He said that these look great. They sound great. They brought out things he's never heard before. And I'll say, Tim, things you never heard before because they weren't in your fucking movie because they added them later on. But
right.
That's why you never heard them before, because they weren't there. But Uh, no Tim Burton introduction to the movies. You could have just even used
Just played that video.
the video that he had on his own Instagram and Facebook used that, you know, they used to promote this release. Why not have that there? That's one thing. As much as I dislike Fathom events, they do, you know, partake in having some kind of special feature in the beginning or an introduction. For Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles recently, like, we had some cool stuff, right?
Yeah, never before seen alternate ending and footage of Shredder training and all this stuff that we've never seen
New
before. It's
Casey
never
Jones
been
scene, yeah.
yeah, never been included on any of the home releases or anything. So that was pretty spectacular to see. You know, and if it's not like behind the scenes material, then at least they get like Leonard Maltin to come in and talk about the movie beforehand or something. I don't know,
right?
Like give the movie a little bit of context.
But I mean, it's a wasted opportunity. You have Burton in a room, and unfortunately, the one video, you can tell he's reading off a screen because he mispronounces a few things.
They only did the one take, and he is reading off of something. Now, are those his words, or did Warner Brothers say, "Tim, read this"?
Read this. We wrote it for you. You see,
they're holding a gun to his head off camera.
Well, something's going on. He just had the huge hit with Beetlejuice. They really wanted to get him in there. They know fans care about what filmmakers think. They know Tim has a massive rabid fan base, us included. So it helps, I think, to some extent, to get the director in there and be like, I endorse these. Go watch them. Go spend your money to revisit them, because he's making his next movie with Warner Brothers, correct? He's making The Attack of the 50-Foot Woman. So he's already supposedly right, with Margot Robbie. Apparently, we don't know yet. It's in talks. You know, that in talks Hollywood lingo we always hear. But it's good to have him involved and that he saw them, and he even said some things that were very, like, he found them charming again. And he's had so many issues with thinking about those movies. He claims in another video he did recently that he hadn't watched the movies since he released them, which leads me to believe, did he not actually watch the movies when he did commentaries for them in 2005? We're actually on the 20th anniversary, LoySauce, of the Batman Anthology DVD box set, which is still...
Which I had, yeah.
It's still, in my opinion, all those interviews and stuff, they've been recycling them since then on every release of these movies. But he did commentaries, he did interviews, and he seemed to remember a lot of stuff then, but his commentaries, if you know anything about Tim Burton, are not very...
They're very dry. Lots of, you know...
He sounds like yeah.
Sounds like us recording a podcast.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, he's a visual guy. He's never good at, even when you watch behind the scenes footage of him like directing Michael Keaton or anyone, you know, fill in the blank, Johnny Depp. What he's saying to them is almost gibberish, but they somehow connect with him and understand what he's fucking saying to them. So it somehow gets through to them. They have that connection together creatively. But that was another part of it, that they didn't have posters for the event or anything. And an amazing artist released a poster yesterday, a fan poster. I posted it on the Burton Batcave. Julian Rico Jr., he's on Instagram, at Julian Rico Jr., made a brilliant poster for this, a beautiful piece of artwork for the Batman Returns re-release in Dolby. And they should have had this guy that commissioned this guy and released his poster, give it to fans after they leave. They didn't have that. When we were going into the theater, I saw a poster up for the Jaws re-release. I saw a poster for the Casper re-release. Casper. And I love Casper, but come on, man. These are Batman movies. These are huge. And no poster up, no display or anything. Like, they put,
I never saw a trailer. Like, I know that they put together a trailer and put it on YouTube. And this event was announced like 1st of August, right? So they had less than a month to kind of promote it. And I don't know, I just feel like it could have been a much bigger deal had they felt like they needed to promote it at all. I will say, our screening of Batman was packed. It was like almost a full theater.
It was, yeah. Returns not so much, because they decided to screen it at 10 at night, but
yeah, people got lives, they got things to do. I mean, we were able to catch it, but I do wonder, like, why they didn't just do it as a double bill.
I know.
That way they could have started returns a little bit
Well,
earlier.
to make the extra money, I guess, because they'd have to charge one price for both movies, and they want all the money they can get out of this thing. And it makes sense. They own these movies. Why not re-release them, make some money off them? And fans came out. I mean, I saw a lot of people on the internet posting about it. People were very excited about it because not everyone has an Alamo Drafthouse like we have, Brian. We end up showing the Burton Batman movies almost every year. Arguably, at least if we can, we try to, but this is a special event. And I just felt like, before the movie, we're seeing trailers for Jaws re-release, Casper re-release. They should have been hyping this thing way more, especially with Superman and Fantastic Four still in theaters right now. I mean, I know Superman's on digital, but people are still going to see those movies. Why not put out a quick little 30-second teaser in front of movies? Especially for
why
Dolby.
not have a trailer ready to go when Fantastic Four and Superman premiered? Like, why not take advantage of that? So
people would have. Honestly, I feel like it would have been way bigger had they released that, especially with Superman.
I guess maybe it was 160 screens they released this on. I don't know how many Dolby cinemas there are across the country, but maybe it was just because it was such a limited rollout. They just decided not to go full hog wild. But like I said, I mean, it just seems like we only really knew about it because we pay attention. Like you, as the Burton Batcave showrunner, so to speak, like it's your job to know about this stuff. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have heard about it.
And I did my due diligence in trying my best to promote it because I want people to be able to get the opportunity to see these movies on the big screen. And so many people brought out their kids. I talked to a few people in the lobby in between movies, people so excited to bring their sons and daughters and people they've never had a chance to see these movies. And especially seeing them in such an amazing performance format like Dolby was just really special, I think, for so many people.
I'm always curious. When I see an older film in the theater, I always wonder like how many of these people are seeing this movie for the first time. And what they think about it, or how many people are seeing this in a theater for the first time.
Right.
And I don't know, there's something very exciting about that. It's like, is there anyone in the audience who is experiencing Tim Burton's Batman 1989 for the very first time? Like, how exciting must that be?
Absolutely. And especially in retrospect, since we've had so many Batman movies since that movie, and comic book movies rule the world still. I mean, there is the fatigue, which is a discussion to be said another time. But going back and seeing something like this, the originator, arguably, other than Superman the movie, Batman 89 is the reason we have the Marvel Cinematic Universe today, why we have comic book movies, because
it's the blueprint.
It's the blueprint. Obviously, he took chances even with casting and the marketing and fill in the blank. We've talked about that in numerous other episodes. But when I saw kids there wearing little Batman shirts, and it just was really a good feeling, it's just always exciting to me. And I actually got to host the film on 35 millimeter in June at the Mahoning Drive-In Theater, which was really fun. I brought Tony from Hack the Movies into the booth and got to do the intro for it and everything. It was a really fun time. I've introed the movies numerous times, but per what you were just saying, I would have loved to have gotten up there in front of the crowd. How many people haven't seen it before? Raise your hand, just to know, because that makes it even more exciting for me in the audience. But I do believe that I think this is, at least for 89, the best the movie has looked since the original 35 millimeter presentation. I think it's the closest to that. The colors, I mean, from the stitching on Nicholson's costumes to the color in his makeup and how much it just shined on screen to the grittiness of Bob Ringwood's bat suits. I mean, the miniatures, the matte paintings, the practical sets, the Batcave itself, everything comes alive in Dolby Vision. It really felt different for me watching the movie on this format. And of course, lots of the little miniatures and models you can tell are even more apparent, like you were like a couple that you mentioned that you noticed.
Oh yeah, well, just especially the scene at the end when Batman and Vicky are swinging from the cathedral. They just look like two little dolls swinging back and back and forth,
miniatures. Yeah.
And I mean, that of course speaks to the charm. I would much rather have two little dolls swinging back and forth on a piece of string than obvious CGI that rips you right out of the movie.
Mhm.
There are definitely some matte paintings that when you're watching it on DVD or on Blu-ray on your TV at home, you don't even necessarily you don't see the seams, but when you're seeing it on a giant screen in like picture perfect, clarity, they start to look a little bit uh,
More
fake,
obvious.
more obvious,
Yeah.
fakey fake, I guess. But again, that just kind of reiterates, or it kind of reinforces the fact that these films were made by craftspeople. They were Gotham City was built from the ground up, basically, and so to see the seams just to me endears me to the films more, because it just shows that hard work that was put in and
Yeah.
care that was taken to make it like a lived-in world, a living, breathing place. Um, like you said, the costumes, the everything having to do with the Joker, the purple and the green, it all pops. Um, and I mean, again, we have watched the discs together. I actually don't own the films in 4K because I know, I have the Tim Burton collection on
Sacrilegious.
Blu-ray, and so that's how I've been watching the films. But we've watched the disc together, and from my recollection, um, those films did kind of have a little bit of a cooler color palette, whereas in Dolby, and I don't know what this comes down to, if it's just the Dolby Vision grading
Equipment
that they
grading. Yeah.
put on the movie, or if they actually went in and did kind of like a retooling of the color. It was overall a much warmer presentation in terms of the color of the film. Did you
Absolutely.
also sense
Yeah,
that?
I did. It's more natural color timing and closer to the 35 millimeter version or even the Laserdisc version. The colors do pop a lot more still, but that so-called teal that everyone complained about is a lot more subdued. And I did my due diligence. I don't ever talk about wanting to take pictures in the theater, but I did take one or two just as reference, so I could have a reference point to point out to a few people, like, this is what the color timing looks like. And you did a little research yourself prior to us discussing this, and you looked up through the channels, which you have availability for, to see if this is a new DCP, and you found some information if this is new or if this is the same one they've been giving to theaters like Alamo over the last couple years or so.
Well, so obviously, I mean, you can book the film in a certain number of ways. I mean, if you have a Blu-ray copy, you could play that. You could play a 2D DCP with, the Atmos sound mix, Dolby Atmos sound mix. And there's also listed a DCP PLF, meaning premium large format, with Dolby Vision. So I don't know when that was created, but there does exist a DCP specifically for this screening, and I'm sure other theaters that are equipped with Dolby Vision.
Yes. And so to answer the question many fans are having right now, is this the same identical file that's available on digital right now to watch the movie with Dolby Vision and 4K Ultra HD? I don't know for sure. I can tell you that to my eyes, because I did the test yesterday, it doesn't look the same. It doesn't look identical, right? But it could
And
be.
again, it could be down to the
equipment.
projection equipment and
Yeah.
all that stuff.
Because I was going to say, that's the most, valid form of Dolby Vision you're going to get is in a Dolby Cinema. It's going to look better than any TV on the planet, right? Because that projector is like, probably $100,000 piece of equipment, and that huge screen and how rich the colors can get and how large it is going to look way different. Even if you have a huge 4K OLED television, you have an OLED, I have an OLED. We both have calibrated setups. So it's like we have a reference point for this, but I wish I could tell the fans 100% one way or the other. And I've seen some reference photos, which we posted on Epic Film Guys, from a colleague of ours. And we can't speak to if those are legitimate or not, but I did want to bring that to people's attention that, yes, this did look different. And you can confirm along with me that the movie does not look like it's bathed in teal or cyan or blue or anything. There are scenes that just feel more natural color-wise. I just personally, outside of a pristine 35 millimeter print, what I just saw on Monday, at least in terms of visually, is my preferred version of the movie. I have to come out and say that and endorse it because it looked fucking gorgeous. Yes, you can see little Joker, model on the helicopter. You can see Joker goons on the little helicopter model in the air, and you can tell it's the Batman model that turns his head slightly in the Batwing. But if you know these movies, you already know those things anyway, and you've already noticed them. You can tell it's Dave Lee as Keaton's fight double in some of the fight scenes. You can tell that it's Carl Newman doing a lot of the movement stuff for Keaton in Axis Chemicals and other places, the opening, the ending, fill in the blank. But
and some of the effects that probably didn't look the best even in 1989 definitely don't look
like that animated man. Those that want to know more about this should listen to my interview with Michael Keaton's movement double, Carl Newman. He's a great friend, awesome guy. But the original opening of the movie, the first time you would ever see Batman in the movie that they shot was with him. There's a photo online. You can find it on his Instagram at BalletBat1989. It was going to be a panning up of the top of the cathedral, and you would have seen Batman perched like a gargoyle. Carl did the shot. They filmed it. It's never been released, but there is a photo. That would have been my preferred opening of the first image you see of Batman on screen. But instead, the first time we see Batman on screen, fans know this, is like a really shoddy animated
cartoon
Batman
silhouette. Yeah.
Which never made sense to me. And I'm pretty sure even Burton himself said, I don't know why we did that. They cut the other version, which would have been fucking epic, amazing to see Batman perched like that, like totally still like a gargoyle. But anyways, I digress. It's things like that, but still, I'm glad they didn't change it. They didn't go in and be like, hey, let's alter this for the purpose of the silliness is intact, but just leave it there. Because that's what the charm of the movie has, is just.
Yeah, it wasn't a Evil Dead 1981 scenario where they went back and scrubbed, crew members out of the shot, and they fixed a lot of the seams with the makeup and the matte line around the moon. I cannot stand when they do that and then pretend like it's a perfect movie. It's always been a perfect movie.
Didn't they release the normal version on 4K, correct? Or is it still the revisionist version?
No, I'm pretty sure it's the revisionist version. And the thing that pisses me off the most about that is that when they originally released it on DVD, they had a group commentary with like Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi and everyone, and they're pointing out all these mistakes because they're like, hey, we were just young filmmakers, we didn't really know what we were doing. And then when it was released on Blu-ray, they released a new commentary where they didn't mention any of that shit. So obviously they wanted to pretend like it was a movie that had a lot more polish to it than it did. But that's the charm of that movie, and that's the charm of this, these movies. And I'm not saying these are handsome looking movies. I mean, they really, the production design, everything about these movies is so immersive. Yeah. And the technical aspects in the movie might not be 100% perfect, but really what is 100% perfect is the script. To 89 especially, that is just like I've always known this, but watching it again kind of with clear eyes, fresh eyes, it's just like a really solidly constructed screenplay. It's really smart. It's the dialogue is iconic. It's satisfying. It gives you those like action movie thrills, but it also has depth to it. So, I mean, man, I love these movies.
Thanks to Sam Hammond, of course, even more so with the dialogue, Warren Scarron, who did a rewrite over in London when they were shooting the film. Imagine having you're that guy that you're writing all those Joker one-liners. You must be a fucking genius, because every one of them lands.
Everyone.
Not one of them fails. Not one of them drops like a rock. Every time. Dude, you noticed the energy in the audience. Every time Nicholson was on screen, you felt there was just like this energy building. And you can understand now in retrospect why they were like, put more Joker in this, because he was doing something that was going to change movies in general, just a comic book movie performance, a villain performance rather, like for the ages. Like he just was wild and maniacal, and one of the all-timers.
The audience was laughing at Joker, but it also wasn't like over the top performative laughter. I think there was like, there was a respect that people like granted towards the character, where they didn't like treat him like a joke, because he is threatening and dangerous. He kills people. He's, Nicholson as Joker, he does embody the menace of that character, as well as the silliness and the over the top antics.
Yeah.
So I felt that the audience, like, they laughed when they needed to, but also treated
Sure.
the character seriously when the movie demanded it.
And that dialogue is funny. It's meant to be funny. You're meant to laugh at it. They're meant to be jokes. He is the Joker. But I want to mention a little bit about Returns, because we've been talking about 89
I know.
most of the time. I love both. 89 is my favorite movie of all time. But Returns is one of my favorite Batman movies. I know it's one of yours. That movie looked gorgeous. In terms of presentation of that movie, I can tell it looks different than the 4K Blu-ray and the Dolby Vision version that's also available on digital, but I can't tell if that's also different. If anything, I'd have to say it's entirely possible that is the same version, but on the actual Dolby equipment, it does appear differently, because it's still cold as fuck. The movie still looks cold. There's still a little bit of a blue hue to it, but it looked still, to my eyes, better than it's ever looked since it was released. And I got a chance to see that film on 35 millimeter at Library of Congress last December. So I've got a reference point on that one as well, but it sounded insane. Now,
well, that's the thing too. The Dolby Atmos, I mean, the Danny Elfman's score is rousing and booming, and then the explosions, especially.
I mean, Returns rattled my fucking brain, dude, because that movie, I think it was the first movie, Burton mentions it in the intro, it was one of the first Dolby presentations or something, or one of the first presentations to be done in a certain Dolby surround sound that was released in so many theaters in 92. So that one is already made to be loud and explosive. So anytime there's an explosion in that movie, or the Batmobile,
which there's a lot with the Red Triangle Circus Gang, and when Catwoman blows up the Shrek's what is it, a jewelry store, department store? Yeah. Meow, and then the
dude, that explosion literally knocked me out of my seat. I mean, it was just so exciting for that. But
I will say the dialogue was a little muted in the mix, and
in Returns,
in both movies.
Okay.
To be quite honest, I do feel like the dialogue could have been boosted a little more. But I mean, I didn't have problems hearing anything, or it wasn't like a muddled mix. It was just the explosions were really loud, and the dialogue was like maybe like a hair too quiet.
That's you just being nitpicky, LoySauce.
We're talking about the presentation. That's what we're doing. I know, right?
Absolutely, and rightly so. That's something I didn't notice that, but I'm glad that you brought that up. It's definitely something to be talked about. Overall, as we're closing up this discussion, I just can't say enough how much I enjoyed these, and I hope that a lot of fans out there had the opportunity to go. I know it was on a Monday. That was the other thing. Like, why slap it on a Monday? People are working. Why not have it on a Sunday afternoon or something so everyone can go?
It's a great question. I do hope that maybe they do another screening, or what would be ideal, what would be really cool, and I doubt that Warner Brothers would do it. Release the films with the new Dolby Vision presentation. Release them in like a double feature pack, like Batman and Batman Returns. Do a nice steelbook if you want to, but whatever, like make it available for home viewing.
Put actual good artwork on it, or just make it the fucking original artwork, or have someone good do artwork. The promotional imagery they came up with, like the marketing stuff for this, wasn't terrible, other than the fact they used the Batman Forever font for both fucking movies, which makes no sense at all whatsoever why they would do that. Get
someone who knows what they're doing, and especially the 4K, the artwork for the 4K releases.
Hideous.
Was just an eyesore. So it's like, give these films the proper due that they deserve.
Fans will rebuy them. They're titles that continue to be rebought every time they release them. So,
and it's been 5 years since the last release, so why not?
6 actually. Yeah.
Oh yeah, true. But yeah, I think it was really cool to see these movies in this way. There were a couple things that I noticed that I never did before, as many times as I've seen these films. But Max Schreck's office, you see photos of Max with various,
Arnold,
public
Sammy
figures and political figures.
Yeah.
I did not notice Arnold Schwarzenegger the entire time I've watched this movie.
Well, it's interesting too, because our friend Brad from Comic Book Couples Counseling, he noticed the Popeye on Alexander Knox's bulletin board behind him. I've noticed all those things because I've watched the movies more than anyone on the planet, but it's cool that you notice those.
The Joker, when Bruce and Vicky are in Vicky's apartment and the Joker comes in and the Joker and Bruce are talking, I never noticed that Vicky just starts eating a big ass bowl of popcorn during that scene.
What a fucking glutton, dude.
I was so focused on what Bruce and the Joker were doing that I never even paid attention to what Vicky was doing in the background. And I mean, I probably would never have caught that if not for seeing it on this big screen. So
yeah. Wonderful experience. As much as Warner's dropped the ball on promoting it and hyping it, they could have done a really better, simple adjustment to it that would have been a way better job. But I'm thankful that they did release these. I hope this leads to more of these. And to your point about other screenings, I did hear from some people that they're seeing that they're adding returns, just returns by itself, because it was so late of a screening at like 10 at night, that they're doing it next week just as a solo feature, which is great for people that didn't get to see it the first time. So check your local listings on Fandango or wherever you find your movie tickets, just in case you may see that they're going to screen returns again. Great opportunity. Go check it out for sure. Like I said, final thoughts on this. This isn't like a real review, more of just a discussion, but I would definitely say I treasure these releases in this format. I give them both my endorsement. Absolutely. How about you?
No, absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't say like it's a revelation, but it is definitely, I definitely haven't seen the films look this good before in my life. So if you're a fan of these movies, there's really no better way to see them. You know, I do think that they could have fine-tuned the promotion a little bit more. Like, at least if you're going to get Tim Burton, at least frame your video so you're not like looking up his nose. Like, I don't know. It was just such an awkward.
Terrible.
He was just like sitting down and the camera was like right in his face.
It looked like he was just in a hotel room or something. Here, looking at his laptop.
At least make it a little bit more.
And include that shit in front of the movie too. Why wouldn't you include that in front of both movies? You know, like the one clip that he mentions, like, it's basically him endorsing these remasters. So why wouldn't you include that? It's just stupid. It's just, why have him do it just for social media? Why wouldn't you
at least put a different trailer pack in front of Batman Returns, so you were not sitting through the same half hour of trailers, the exact same trailer pack twice.
Sure.
Stuff like that.
Absolutely.
But, you know, nothing is perfect except for Batman 1989.
Absolutely. And we'll leave it at that, my friend. Thanks for listening to this mini-sode of the Epic Film Guys podcast. If it's your first time listening, thanks so much for checking us out. And if you're a long-term listener, we love you so much. We can be found on every single social media platform known to man at Epic Film Guys, and we're on every single podcast platform as well. So until next time, I am Justin.
I'm LoySauce.
And as always, we'd like to ask you to keep that shit creepy.